The Detroit Regional Chamber's MPC 20 Conversations Respond and Rebuild digital series is provided in partnership with Detroit Public Television and presented by Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan, with additional support from Accenture, Bank of America, Barton Malow, Comerica Bank, Consumers Energy, Delta Dental, Dow, DTE Energy, Enbridge Energy, Ford Motor Company, Huntington Bank, ITC, KPMG, the Kresge Foundation, Kroger, Michigan Economic Development Corporation, PNC Bank, Ralph C. Wilson Jr. Foundation, Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans, the Skillman Foundation, and TCF Bank. And by these supporters. Support for Detroit Public TV's coverage is provided by DTE Energy Foundation and Masco.
Hello, and welcome to MPC 20 Conversations, Respond and Rebuild. This digital series, hosted by the Detroit Regional Chamber, is bringing smart dialogue focused on the unprecedented challenges that Michiganders are facing today. On behalf of the Chamber, I would like to thank Detroit Public Television and the many longtime corporate and philanthropic partners for bringing the spirit of our annual Mackinac Policy Conference to us virtually throughout the fall. Without their support of the Chamber, these discussions would not be possible. While an in-person Mackinac Policy Conference was not possible this year, ongoing dialogue among business, government, and civic leaders focused on moving Michigan forward remains critical as we work together to rebuild our economy. I hope you enjoyed today's discussion, and thank you for tuning in.
Good morning. I'm Dave Egner. I'm the president and CEO of the Ralph C. Wilson Jr. Foundation. Thanks for joining us for this conversation on caregivers. According to the AARP, 41 million adults in the United States are currently giving care to older adults. 41 million. 1 in 4 of those are millennials, the youngest members and the largest member of our current workforce. And when we think about caregivers, and we normally think about giving care to young children, where there's a myriad of resources and opportunities to find help. Child care centers, adults who will come in and be helpful to you, and employers who are patient and understanding when you have a child who's homesick. When we think of giving care to older adults, it's quite different. There aren't resources, they're hard to find, and typically there's not the same tolerance from employers because it's such an unusual request. And yet we have a growing number of adults that are going to need care into our future. So to set the stage for this discussion, we're going to show a short documentary film that will feature a day in the life of Enid Mojica McGinnis. Enid is an amazing woman, and you'll get a glimpse into the joys, the challenges, the heartbreak, and the patience that can only come from the love of her mother. After the film, we'll be joined by Paula Cunningham, who's the state director of AARP, and Chris Holman, who is the founder and the CEO of the Michigan Business Network. They'll help to bring some context to this issue of giving care to older adults, both for employers, for employees, and frankly, for the future of our economy in the state of Michigan. Now, if you have a cup of coffee or maybe grab some popcorn, sit back and enjoy the film.
I would say take it step by step, start day by day. My life did not change drastically because as things changed, I changed with it. I don't believe that this part of the life should be mourning, but even mourning is a process in life that really is joyous if you can go through it. Those joys are what holds us together. We laugh so much. My name is Enid Mojica McGinnis. I am a wife, a mother, and a caregiver to my mom. One day, she turned on the stove and tried to make her breakfast, left a towel on the stove, and went outside, waited for the bus with my sister. And I see this towel like burning. I said at this point, we needed to take out the stove knobs.
Hey, give me my coffee.
Good morning. I'm going to try to go take a shower. Hopefully nothing will happen. Hopefully the house won't be on fire while I can get ready to work. She's up again.
Mirando por la ventana a ver quién ve.
Vete a dormir, por favor.
¿Ah?
Vete a dormir.
Here she comes. Por aquí vengo, vamos a ver. We're just gonna keep her busy. ¿Qué es lo que pasa? Pastilla y pastilla y pastilla.
Bebe te da toda.
We knew something was changing. She said that she would not move out of the house, that she needs her own house.
¿Pero cuánto te costé el agua que me traíste tan poca?
I didn't have anything planned out. You don't plan this, it just evolves. She took care of so many people. Nobody ever thought she was going to need taken care of. Radically accepting my mom was not easy with her illness, but it came natural to us. We come from a Puerto Rican family, and all Puerto Ricans take care of their grandmothers, their parents. So that was not a question. My mom was born in Ponce, and she moved to Brooklyn, then the Bronx, and then she moved to Buffalo. There were very few Hispanics back then, but it grew to such a huge Hispanic community. We lived most of our lives in the west side of Buffalo. We knew everyone. We still know everyone. Even today, it is a very tight community. It's incredible the relationships that she has there. They walked into the house to have a cup of coffee. They sat in the porch with her and just talked with her. When my mom's dementia got worse, I knew that we had to take her out of her community to North Tonawanda, where she knows no one, and we're in the middle of nowhere. I knew that a lot would probably fall on me because I'm the only one in Buffalo at this point.
This circulates her blood because since she's not outside moving around in the winter, I have her circulating and it helps with osteoporosis with the bones.
Pero muévete.
Yeah.
Muévelo, 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 muévelo.
Yeah.
Muévelo, muévelo.
I find it an honor to do it. How many people get to take care of their mother at this point in their life, are strong enough to do it, and watch them go into that next transition?
She know la plena.
Oh yeah. Todos saben la plena, mami.
This one, she know the plena.
That one, she knows. That one. All right, so go ahead, describe me. Sorry.
Scattered. Scattered, girl. Yeah, here, there, like always happens.
Look where you're going this time.
Yeah. My mom is always caring. Just having an open door for everyone. That's just really it.
My mom was always witty. She was a fun, witty person. When it came to the things of God, she was very serious. My mom was pastor of Bethel Christian Church. And she was always in the kitchen serving folks for church. I never cooked. And every Saturday night after she goes to bed, I go shopping and I will stay up all night and cook for them. So I go to bed like about 3, 4 o'clock in the morning to wake up at 6 and get her ready. It's go, 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 go. I do everything I have to do before I wake her up so that when I wake her up, she's ready and all I have to do is get changed.
Today I'm
running a little behind schedule because my mother decided to get up. Now I understand what my son means about me being scattered. I look like a chicken without a head. I'm going to work. I'm a little late. Do all the medicines. Do this, do this. No, do this. Breakfast going. I have it all together. I love my mom and I love what I'm doing for her. I'm honored to do it. But there's just sometimes I feel like I'm the only one. Of course, it would be a lot easier if I had my sisters here, but I know that's not possible. But when I think I can't do it, then she does something funny and it just changes everything. What helps me with my difficult times are my quiet moments. I don't have very much time to myself. The only time that I have is from 4 to 6 a.m. And that is my quiet time in what I call the throne room. And it's really my bathroom. And I love it there.
I could be here all day if they let me. In the morning, I'll just sit here and just wait. My husband wanted to use the bathroom and he said, I don't even feel like going in there anymore. Coming in here and sitting for 2 hours, sometimes it's just not enough. I find myself like towards the end of the 2 hours anxious.
Do I feel overwhelmed? At times I do. I especially feel overwhelmed when I'm getting ready to go to work. I'm always rushing out of here. And then I get my coffee and I say, who cares? I felt overwhelmed when I had to take over my mom's role as pastor of the church. Because the church is simply her life. Without it, she would have just died. I had no other choice. I was a pastor before, but she didn't look at me as a pastor, first of all. But it was hard. It's been hard. If there's a mic on the pulpit, she's sure to get it and start service. So we hide the mics from her. But I ended up loving pastoring that church. I've been a teacher for 33 years at St. Mary's School for the Deaf. Where's my John? I see you. Yo te veo. Good morning.
There's 3 stories in this book. You're right. Okay, hold on. Why don't you just sign it? You don't have to say it. You could just sign it. I just want to see how you're doing, okay? How do you say I lost the keys? Okay. I lost.
Yeah, I
I lost my keys.
I lost my key.
Good.
It doesn't.
It doesn't
Mother, mom and dad.
Good. All right, let's see. I'm just, okay, let's do this one.
Okay. At night, when the light got out, I am scared.
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 Yeah.
Right. Why?
Why? I hear something.
Good, yes. Okay. Oh my God.
The doctor said she has late-stage dementia. Before I did anything else, I went to see a lawyer so that she can give me the power of attorney. And she says, you're going to have to start getting some paperwork. And that's when it's like, oh, my parents have been so private about their paperwork. Like, I don't even know where to start. That's when I realized that I had to do a lot of digging and a lot of cleaning. I mean, I had to search high and low for documents. Anything from her banking to her car, her house, even documents for her tomb, documents of her will, documents of her power of attorney. She would not give them up.
I think I'm relieved to see a note from me. I just said, Mom, Te quiero mucho.
I'm not going to work today. I'm just exhausted.
Esa es una hija. Esa es una hija, ¿sabe?
Okay.
Ustedes ven cómo me trata. Yo no tengo que hacer nada aquí. Qué bueno. Ni siquiera barrer el piso.
Qué bueno, ¿verdad?
Qué bueno eso.
Qué reina, tú eres reina.
I've prepared for my mom's death because I've already gone through it with my dad. Death is a happy occasion for them. They believe in life after death, so they have a plan for that. And the way they are, they had their burial ground in Puerto Rico. And sure enough, we had a picnic. And she's like, I want to know who my neighbors are. And I'm like, you're going to be dead, Ma. Why would you want to see the neighbors? And she goes, because I'm living with them for life.
It was great. Mom enjoyed herself. Every time we go to Puerto Rico, she enjoys herself. If it wasn't for my son, I would have lost it because she started telling people that I was stealing her money and stealing her stuff. And I said, can you take it for just a couple hours just so that I could relax? That was a hard time. I mean, thank God. That's when we realized. It was fun.
It was fun.
It was fun for you. It was fun for you because you were in control and we weren't.
Yeah.
I have been in a funk all day. The home attendant went to Puerto Rico, which meant that obviously, I had no home attendant, so I stayed with her. It has been a hard few days. Friday morning, we were supposed to go to a funeral, and I could not get her ready, which means I could never put her in a day hab for an adult. When you don't want her to get up, she gets up. When you want her to get up and get ready, she doesn't. So I did not go. It was really sad because I wanted to be there and comfort others, but I just couldn't do it.
Going to a nursing home is not on the table. I promised her that's not a question. That's not an option for us. There is a fear that it could get so bad that I won't be able to take care of my mom. But that doesn't mean that my son has to do that. Here, they just don't. I mean, I have people who still tell me today, when are you putting your mom in a nursing home? And I'm like, I'm not. Like, why are you even asking that? Like, and they're like, why are you doing that? Like, poor thing. And I'm like, whoa, let's remember this is an honor.
Entonces no me acostumbro a estar sola allá en casa en estos días. Me vengo para aquí, me acuesto por ahí. Y déjame cama por ahí, el sofá.
Pero qué bueno a vivir con tu hija, ¿no?
No, mi casa está sola allá en Búfalo. No me quedo en casa porque me encuentro sola, muy solitaria, y me vengo para acá. Esa es mi amable casa. No digo adorada porque adorar es a Dios solamente. Mi amable. No me votas, ¿verdad?
No, yo no te voto.
O me votas ahora mismo que están ellos aquí al frente del testigo.
Yo no te voto. Okay. This is my mom's room. Yeah. Yeah. I am so blessed with having her at home. I hated having to come in here and tuck her in at night and then just leaving. I hated that. I had to do that. I felt like I was tucking in a little child and then leaving them. Life was in the kitchen. My mom would put out the record player right here and we would dance here, or we would just enjoy ourselves.
We had all our talks, all our arguments, all our, all our laughs. We had them here. The first time I came to do it by myself and I thought I could start cleaning it, and then I just bursted out crying and I just left hyperventilating.
I just can't believe that life, like, you collect so much and, you treasure so many things and it ends to nothing.
I started and it was just hard to stop. I had to stop. I cleaned out the refrigerator. When I started seeing all the roaches, and it just got disgusting, and I just started throwing everything out, and it's because I thought, oh my God, this is really happening. I don't want to miss this time because it's all a part of it. So I don't want somebody to come in and clean it. You know what I mean? It's no, we got to do this because it's a part of the grieving process. It's a part of it that's so important. And it just brings memories, whether it brings tears or it brings joy. It's still memories.
It's not the most perfect situation, but dementia's not who she is. And death is a part of life.
Wow, Chris, what a fabulous video. It just so poignant. It actually tells the story of caregivers all over this nation. And as David so eloquently pointed out, that number is really growing. The number of family caregivers grows every year. There have been 45 million. Just last year alone, there were over 65 million nationwide family caregivers. And we know that Michigan is the fastest growing state in the nation. Not one of the fastest, it is the fastest growing state in the nation. By 2025, there will actually be more people over the age of 65 than there are between 0 and 17. And we'll be the first state in the nation to reach that particular landmark. So we need to plan and prepare for what that means for employers, what it means for our economy, what it means for every facet of our economy. Chris Holman, you are just a premier small business person. I've known you for at least 3 decades, and you have always been an advocate for small business and for employers. So I'm really glad to have this conversation with you today and talk about what our aging population means for Michigan and particularly what it means for employers in terms of caregivers and employees who need to take time off, to take care of not just the toddlers, as David said, but for their elder parents as well. So talk to us a little bit about what you're seeing and thinking about caregiving as it relates to employers.
You know all too well how interestingly COVID-19 turned our world upside down. And going into that, according to our surveys, the Accident Fund's Future Business Index, the biggest challenge that business had was getting qualified people. Well, COVID-19 turned that upside down overnight. All of a sudden, we're looking at ways to not lay people off. The fact is, though, not as much has changed as you think. And to hang on to your good people, your real important people, it's as important as healthcare, flex time, anything else, to be able to afford them their lifestyle while they work for the company. And so this becomes one of those things. This allowing them the schedule and the time to be caregivers as a gratuity and actually a benefit to your employees, as any of the other benefits are. I mean, it's crucial, and it's kind of interesting because the challenges get tougher the bigger the company becomes. One of the things we're hearing is that this is absolutely one of the things that people need. And it also, on the management side, is one of the worries. If we have our people working from home or remote, are they really working for the company, and not caregiving continually, be that on the higher end of the age bracket or the lower end of the age bracket. But it's incumbent upon businesses to figure this thing out, because it's essential to keep your people and still afford them the availability to help who they need to help.
Absolutely. And, you know, that's why I really appreciate the Ralph C. Wilson Foundation for bringing this particular issue to light. It is such a critical issue, and we need to talk about it. We need to plan for it. You know, their whole series regarding the Caring Company, there have been several videos that have been produced that are just as powerful as the one that we saw with Enid and her mother, that just helps people to stop and pause for a moment to think about, what does the future look like? If you want to attract top-notch level employees, like you said, Chris, you got to think differently about flex time and differently about what we do to make certain that they are able to take care, not just childcare, but their older adults and their loved ones as well. You know, there was a study done by AARP called Disrupt Disparities, a Continuum of Care. And in that report, it was just 2 years ago, in that report, it showed that caregivers actually spend out of pocket approximately $7,000 a year of their own money, whether it's building a ramp, whether it's, you know, having someone come in, just activities of daily living. And so, you know, not only are they stressed in terms of the work, they're stressed in terms of their finances, they're stressed in terms of a loved one and making sure they get the proper care. And so it, you know, again, we go back to what can be done to help alleviate some of that burden. And what you said, flex time is certainly one major consideration for folks to take. One of the things that I love about AARP is that they give every employee throughout the entire country, they literally give us 2 weeks of caregiving. You can take it an hour at a time, 2 hours at a time, if you have to take someone to the doctor. And so it's scheduled in. You know that you're going to be have that caregiver and not have to use your vacation time or your quote sick time, to be able to do that. So there are some solutions for employers to start taking a look at.
Well, it is absolutely so essential, because you've got to remember that we all went for PPP money so that we didn't have to lay people off, right? And we got the PPP money in pretty good percentage, and that allowed us to keep our people, but we're still not doing enough to keep those people there and still be able to meet other obligations. And I would tell you, anecdotally, I don't have any statistics presently with myself, but I would tell you that the percentage of people who are giving care has gradually climbed over the last 10 years, and it is becoming a tremendous issue with businesses.
And so when we talk about that, I know you do so much work with, like the Michigan Business Index. What's top of mind for employers right now? I know finding talent has always been there, but could this be a competitive advantage for employers if they had some type of incentives or benefits for family caregivers? Is that a competitive advantage for them as they look to hire folks?
It's not only securing talent, the main thing is that you keep the talent that you presently have. And this is an advantage. And as I said before, it's every bit as important as healthcare, flex time, all those things that make it a better place to live and to work. And so it does become even a recruitment advantage, but more importantly, you protect the people that you have there. We've had that circumstance in our company, and we're small. One of the nice things about having smaller companies is there's the personal aspect, because you're able to say, look, we've got a case or 2 cases that they need some extra time, or at least some flex time, hopefully that we can accommodate, so they can caregive to an elderly spouse, maybe even, or parents, or possibly on the other end, because they have children and somebody's got to help watch these children, and especially if school is remote, right? And so we've got to make these accommodations. When you have a smaller staff, you can call everybody in, you can brainstorm, and you can say, how do we kind of beat this? And everybody will leave saying, okay, this is some accommodations we make. We're not going to complain about this. We need to help these people. They're part of the family. The bigger the company you have, the bigger challenge it is to get the buy-in. It's kind of like everybody saying, you got to be remote. but you have to be here every day because we have to have someone in this function, right? And so they want accommodations.
Well, you know, the video that we just saw too, and again, just thanks to the Ralph C. Wilson Foundation for bringing this to our attention. But the video, that's every day. People go through that every day. Look at all the multiple levels of stress that Enid went through with her mom. You know, she was the primary caregiver. And just to give folks some modest relief, to know they don't have to worry about their job, or and ARP particularly, you know, we're an advocacy organization as well. We want some policy changes. So we're literally looking at asking the legislature to look at some kind of a tax credit even for caregivers. If I'm spending $7,000 of my own money out of pocket, and that person, my loved one, doesn't have to go into a long-term care facility. They don't have to go into a nursing home because I'm trying to do what I can to keep them at home. That literally saves the state money, because for every dollar that we spend to send someone to a long-term care, subsidized to send someone to a long-term care facility, we can save $2 if we can keep them at home a little bit longer. And that's what people want to age. They want to age in place. You know, I mean, sometimes you have to send someone to a long-term care facility or to a nursing home. It's just inevitable. Sometimes you just don't have an option. But when you have an option to be able to have someone age in place, I mean, for heaven's sakes, don't we all want to do that? That's our number one, choice, is to stay in place. So a little bit of care, even just a $5,000 tax credit, which is something that we've been advocating for people, for family caregivers who are unpaid, who are trying to continue to contribute to the economy and trying to take care of a loved one, just as Enid did in that video. It seems like a reasonable request. And everyone can identify with the caregiver. If I think it was Rosalind Carter who said years ago, Chris, she said, if you haven't been a caregiver, there are three types of caregivers. Either you're going to need one, or you are one, or you're going to have to be one, or you're going to have to need one. 4 types. So it's going to impact everybody out there sooner or later.
It absolutely does. You know, you touched on a very important point, and that is that legislatively, we actually have to get some programs in place, because when you and I throw around a figure like $7,000, it means a whole lot more to one income bracket than it does to another, and usually to your employees, that's a fair amount of money. So where is that going to come from? Let alone the time you're going to spend, right? And so this becomes an economic issue. And very much like, it's kind of interesting, when the PPP money came out, people were finding they'd rather be laid off because they had some incentive bonus there and made more money being laid off. You can't have a counterproductive circumstance, but you have to have legislation that affords for people to still be at work, but still be compensated for the work that they do away from work. And again, this leads to one of the most important measures that we have is, are you on the list of most favored places to work? And that's important. That's where people want to be.
So Chris, you've dealt with employers, for decades. What's the competitive advantage that they look for when they're hiring someone? What makes a potential employee say yes to a company? What do employers need to put out there? Because talent, continues to be a challenge for Michigan and for every other state out there, but particularly for Michigan. What's the attraction that will get employees to say yes to a Michigan employer?
So I'm going to speak from the reality that I actually know, which was pre-COVID-19, right? And people who are coming into the workforce, one of the main things, money has always been up in the top 3 or 4, right? So money is really kind of crucial, kind of important. But the other things that really were of importance is, will there be value in what I'm doing? Will I make a difference? Will I be heard? Will I be able to look back in a certain period of time and say, I either did that or I was a big part of that, right? So there's this pride factor of accomplishment that employees are looking for, right? So a little bit of that has changed, not in that that's not a motivation, but the other things that they require, right? And so one of them is a safe place to work. Now, that's always been kind of a priority, but in COVID-19, that was heightened, right? Can I go to my workplace, or can I work in my workplace, still do meaningful work, and, oh, by the way, still be safe, because that's kind of important, right? And so that priority has changed a little bit. Is this a safe place to work? But still remaining there. When we're out recruiting, we're hearing that it used to be we're gonna vet you to see if you fit. Now it's we're gonna vet each other to see if we fit, because they want a certain culture as well. And by the way, that makes onboarding and that makes culture melding, so to speak, way more important. So probably your hiring function is, as a business person, probably the most important thing you do these days. Make sure you get the right people. But certainly up there, Paul, and I think we're going to see it more in the future, is for the basic needs of life, in my family, will I have the availability to continue to work for you and have flex time available or release time available so that I can do those things, be they caregiving, child rearing, down to attending my daughter's volleyball game.
Exactly. And or will the state of Michigan understand that a small tax credit could go a long way to help offset some of that cost that people have? I mean, the caregivers just in Michigan alone, they save $14.5 billion a year by keeping their loved one at home. $14.5 billion, and that's based on research done by Epic MRA. And so, there's some value attached to that as well. And if you're a caregiver and you're not sending someone out. And I know that may or may not be the employer's number one issue, but you said it, Chris, culture matters. And as a particularly, we hear that all the time for people of color. I mean, we've been in CEO groups and others that say they're trying to attract folks, but if the culture's not right, if it's not welcoming, if it's not a growing culture, and if it doesn't have my best interest at heart, then I'm not gonna stay there. I don't care how much money you're paying me. It's not gonna be a comfortable place for me to stay and to live and to grow and to develop. So culture does matter, and it matters a lot. It matters for everybody, and employers particularly need to pay attention to flex time, to culture, to making certain that they have a kind of, like you said, bring people in and let them brainstorm what's best for their organization. We don't want to dictate what someone else needs to do, but look at what the options are for people who are family caregivers.
It's another. You used a phrase that I thought was one that we don't pay enough time and attention to: aging in place. And besides the economic piece, besides the fact that if we had legislation that gave tax breaks, that made it more cost effective, that would save the state money, there's the piece of what does the patient, so to speak, want? I mean, how are we taking care of their needs? You would not, in my world, produce a product without finding what the market wanted, because you'd wind up selling Etzels for the rest of your life, right? But the point is, if you go there and you find out, you'll find out predominantly, I'm sure your figures speak to this, that the vast preponderance of aging people want to age in place. They want to age in their home.
87% of those polled said they want to age in place. And I say the other 13% had children that they didn't like. So they don't want to stay home.
You surveyed my people.
that 13%, right?
That's right.
Yeah, 87% want to age in place. And so, and that becomes, then also, employers want older workers. They're more responsible in the workplace. They don't have the drama. They can help mentor younger folks. So there is again, a yin and a yang attached to there. You want older workers. Many older workers are taking care of, their loved ones. And so to attract them into the workplace, changes need to happen.
Well, and at the same time, they want to have some value. They want to age in place, but they don't want to turn to dust in place.
No, don't even mention the word dust at our age, Chris. That's Hey, I appreciate you, and really appreciate, again, I know I've said it several times, but the Caring Company looked at those videos, but the Ralph C. Wilson Foundation for allowing this segment to take place at the Mackinac Policy Conference, the virtual conference. I hope to see you all next year. And don't forget MPC 20 Conversations if you want to get more information about what's going on here. So thank you. Thanks, Chris. See you soon.
Thank you.
The Detroit Regional Chamber's MPC 20 Conversations Respond and Rebuild digital series is provided in partnership with Detroit Public Television and presented by Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan, with additional support from Accenture, Bank of America, Barton Malow, Comerica Bank, Consumers Energy, Delta Dental, Dow, DTE Energy, Enbridge Energy, Ford Motor Company, Huntington Bank, ITC, KPMG, the Kresge Foundation, Kroger, Michigan Economic Development Corporation, PNC Bank, Ralph C. Wilson Jr. Foundation, Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans, the Skillman Foundation, and TCF Bank. And by these supporters. Support for Detroit Public TV's coverage is provided by DTE Energy Foundation and Masco.